So one time, Jesus told a story about a father and a son to illustrate God's faithfulness and love towards his disobedient children. The story goes like this. A man had two sons. One son loved his father very much and always did what he asked. "What can I do to help out, Dad?" The other son, not so much. "I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you!" See what I mean? "You're like absolutely the worst. I don't even know why you're still alive. Why can't you just be dead?" Ugh, this kid is annoying. "In fact, let's just pretend like you're dead already, and why don't you just give me the inheritance money I'll get then, huh? Could you at least speak at my fake funeral? Ugh, I'm really busy with my new t-shirt company I started." Yeah, he's that kind of guy. "Why are you being so selfish? Just give me my money." And so despite the son's rude and hateful actions, the father still loved him so much. And so the father gave his son what he asked for. He got his inheritance. And so this son lived as a prodigal, which is just a word that means reckless and wasteful. And he blew through all the money. "Guys, I'm loaded! Let's go get reckless and wasteful!" He spent all of his inheritance on wild parties with friends. And at first, everything seemed pretty good. But as soon as the money and good times dried up, his friends abandoned him, and he was poor, and his reckless, disrespectful life had led him to misery and pain. And this is where things stop being funny. This prodigal son is now homeless and poor, working for a farmer cleaning up after pigs. And he's so poor, so hungry, that he finds himself eating pig slop, and in his misery, in his pain, he remembers his home. What has happened to my life? Why did I do this to myself? At least at my father's house, I had a warm bed and plenty of food. I even had people who cared about me. But out here, I'm just disgusted with myself. And in that moment, he decides to brush the pig slop off of him and begin walking home. I could go home and beg my father's forgiveness. I mean, there's no way that he could ever forgive me and take me back as his son, but maybe he'd have enough mercy to make me his servant. Then at least I'd have a warm bed and a hot meal. But even when he was still far away from his father's home, his father, who had spent every night watching and waiting for his son to come home, saw his prodigal son coming home, and he ran out to meet him. "My son, you've returned home. Dad, I'm so sorry for how hateful and disrespectful I was to you. I don't deserve to be your son, but could you ever—" "Son, please, there's no need to beg. All is forgiven. I love you more than you could ever know because you are my child. I'm just so happy because yesterday it was like you were dead and lost to me forever, but now you're alive. Welcome home, son." And so the father brought his prodigal son inside his house, and he threw the largest party he'd ever thrown in his life to celebrate the return of this prodigal runaway son who was brought back to the arms of his father. When most of us hear that story, we put ourselves in the shoes of the runaway son, because that's what Jesus actually intended. We are the ones who ran away from relationship with God. We are the ones who chose to do things that hurt and disappoint God. And he's the Father who welcomes us back with open arms. He's the one who loves us no matter what we've done. If you were here last week, this is what we talked about. How even though we do things that let ourselves and God down, God still loves us more than we can imagine. And so no matter how many times we've messed up, we don't have to see ourselves as failures and disappointments. We can see ourselves like God sees us, his sons and daughters that he loves so much that he died for us. But today we're not going to talk about how we disappoint ourselves, which we did last week. We're going to talk about how we deal with other people letting us down. Ever had anyone let you down? Maybe someone forgot about something important to you, or they showed up late, or they didn't show up at all. Ever had someone tell a secret that you trusted them to keep? Ever had a friend talk about you behind your back? Ever had someone tell you they'd never let you down, but they did? How do we deal with that kind of disappointment? Well, maybe we should be like this father. I mean, think back to the story. Imagine the disappointment and hurt this father must have felt. His own son says, "You're dead to me. I just want your stuff." I mean, no one holds their little baby boy and imagines their expectations for his future and says, "I can't wait till the day they treat me like I'm dead and take all my stuff." So imagine his hurt and disappointment. But how does he treat the son the next time he sees him? He runs to him, he wraps his arms around him, he kisses him, throws him this huge party. You see, no matter how much disappointment the son caused him, the father still loved him and treated him with love. But see, the story isn't over here. Jesus continues the story after the father throws the party for his runaway son. The older brother became angry and refused to go in. So his father went out and pleaded with him. Yes, the other brother. He's angry that his father just lets this other son back into the family after humiliating them. He tells his dad, "I've done everything you've ever asked. I've never disobeyed you once, and you don't treat me like you treat this traitor who spits in your face and wastes your money on wild living. I can't believe you." Now think again, what kind of disappointment must this dad be feeling? He gets one son back and now he's losing another one. But how's the dad treat this ungrateful son? He loves him. He reminds him that he loves both of his children no matter how good or bad they are. And see, this is how God views all of us. But is this how we view people who disappoint us? Do we still love them and treat them like they matter, or do we just cut them out of our lives? Do we treat people who let us down like God treats us, or like we want to treat them? Talk about that in your groups and how we can treat those who let us down like God treats us, and then we'll move on.